Hi, my name is Phil Anderson, and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. Tonight is the last night for voting in the Tournament of Bad Political Ideas, which we've hosted on our campaign page, forphilanderson.org/tournament. So if you haven't voted yet and you're just seeing this video and it's still Sunday night, April 3rd, then by all means log in and make your vote. The last two contestants to win or lose, however you look at it, this tournament, are the Fed and the war on drugs. Now, they're both very, very terrible, but I would argue that the Fed is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to the United States in our history. Basically, some bankers hijacked our monetary system back in 1913 with the help of Woodrow Wilson and a Congress that either didn't know any better or was completely ignorant of economics or were bought and paid for in some way. And now we have a situation where if the Fed chooses to expand the money supply, what they do is they will print more money, and in essence, that creates less wealth in our pockets. Let me give you a quick little thumbnail example. It might be not exactly 100% accurate, but if the Fed decides to increase the money supply by 10%, then that means that the money that I have in my pocket, every dollar is only worth 90 cents because it's all, they've diluted its value. And what do they do with that 10% that they printed? They give it to banks. The banks hold on to it, they lend it at interest, and it gets manipulated in other ways through our financial system. But basically, it's a bailout that we're giving to the banks with money that we've earned, that we've worked for, that basically gets sucked out of our pockets by a decrease in buying power and given to banks, who then have the opportunity to lend it back to us at interest. Now, interest rates are low right now, artificially so, which is a problem as well. But maybe that's the reason why we don't really notice this happening so much during the quantitative easings over the last few years. They're qualitative easings too, but they're called quantitative easings because it means that they're increasing the money supply. It's a fancy way of saying that they're decreasing what every dollar in my pocket and your pocket is worth. But because interest rates are low and it's easy to get a mortgage or borrow money for a car or whatever, we don't really notice it. But in essence, it's a handout to banks. As if we hadn't handed out enough to banks through the bailouts of 2008 and 9. Now, every time they create more money, the money that they create goes to banks and makes the money that's in our pockets, in our bank accounts, tied up in our assets, worth less and less and less. And that is theft. Taxation is theft, and the Fed commits theft every time they create new money. That's all I have to say for tonight, other than, as your senator, I will do everything I can to not only audit the Fed, but get rid of that ghastly monster that preys on our hard-earned dollars. I will do my best to sponsor legislation, along with some people that I know are already sympathetic to that, to get rid of the Fed. That's what I stand for. Your hard-earned dollars staying in your pocket, as well as mine, and that be respected by our federal government and not taken advantage of through the Fed. Thanks. I'll talk to you tomorrow.